Russell Crowe is a name that is known in Hollywood. Some people know him for Gladiator, others know him for LA Confidential. I personally know him for Superman 2013, and then lo and behold, he was also in A Beautiful Mind from 2001, directed by Ron Howard. Winner of 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, A Beautiful Mind is directed by Academy Award winner Ron Howard and produced by his longtime partner, Academy Award winner Brian Grazer. Beautiful Mind stars Russell Crowe in an astonishing performance as brilliant mathematician John Nash on the brink of international acclaim when he becomes entangled in a mysterious conspiracy. Now, only his devoted wife, played by Jennifer Connelly, can help him in this powerful story of courage, passion, and triumph. Isn't it amazing how Connelly went from freaking Inferno and Labyrinth to this? Love it. Yeah, this was a freaking amazing film. Definitely a more character-driven piece. Yeah, you can tell the story is there. So, obviously, we have a recent graduate who is graduated in mathematics, and he's got his buddies there, including a roommate named Charles Herman, who we get to see their exploits together. Like when Nash is frustrated, they both throw their desk out of the dormitory window, and it just shatters on the ground, which was pretty funny. But then we start to wonder, something else is going on here with John himself. It's like, what could it be? Well, he's socially awkward. He does not know how to talk to him. He even gets what's the word I'm looking for? Pushed by his roommates, by his college friends, to talk to a woman, saying, "I do not," something along to paraphrase, "I do not know what the proceedings are for us to engage in intercourse." And he says, "Okay, are we ready to have sex now?" Like literally 30 seconds after meeting her, gets slapped just like that, and says, like he says, "You ass," or something like that. And of course, his roommates Richard, some other person, and Martin and Charles all laugh at his attitude, which that was kind of funny. Yeah, so eventually he says, "Hey, I'm starting to be attracted to this woman named Alicia. And they were saying, "Well, I don't know what the proceeds are for us to have normal activities to engage in intercourse." And he says, "I would much like to have sex with you sooner than that." So obviously there's the attraction. Then what follows is Nash's way how he's dealing with the schizophrenia, the hallucinations that he's seeing of a Department of Defense agent played by Ed Harris. That was interesting to see. And also the roommate Charles that we learned is a figment of his imagination. Really. So he eventually gets married, and it's like they eventually have a baby. Yes, they do engage in intercourse, which is pretty cool. But yeah. However, the hallucinations get worse. His roommates there, and then Ed Harris's character William Parcher, I think the name is, are there. And I think with this being in 1954, I'm not sure like when schizophrenia was first like given a name or whatever for its characteristics, but this was definitely one of the more interesting takes of how they brought it alive visually rather than auditory that the actual Nash himself, the actual John Nash had. So yeah, so there's some rocky stuff going on in a relationship. I mean, it's like probably like a shed that's filled with whole bunch of patterns that he can see, and he almost drowns. He almost drowns their baby, for crying out loud. Technically, he didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, so I guess that's something. Yeah, I mean that scene was intense to see. I mean, it's not like scary or anything, but I felt a little disturbed about it. But it's like, you know. So eventually, in the meanwhile, he gets committed to a hospital, and they give him meds and stuff like that. And then, he's like, eventually he gets better enough to where he starts ignoring them, almost gets his position back over at Harvard University, and then He gets his life on track. We get to see him nearly complete this rhyme math equation or something like that. Something to do with space. If I had to guess, like a movie strip, I don't know anything about that. I completed algebra too. Anyway, yeah, and ultimately he wins the Nobel Peace Prize in 1994 for his contributions and everything else. And yeah, it was a very beautifully shot and I don't want to say intense, but endearing movie, I guess you could say. I mean, even right here, George F. Will of Newsweek says, "A beautiful mystery." Yes, it's exactly what it is. And yeah, what's really portrayed in Russell Crowe's performance is truly astonishing. I mean, it's like at first he acts like the confident, brave, like graduate who, like this very great mathematician, and he really is. But then eventually the hallucinations start coming in, so we get to see, going from brash and confident to acting scared and arguing with things that are not there. That was handled really, really well because when he's hallucinating, you feel like that they are real to him on screen, and we see how it affects his everyday life of for thinking that like the Russians are going to invade him and he's doing some code breaking work for the government, so that gets portrayed of like the whole Cold War tensions going on. It's there, and we get to see it really well. And it just works. Obviously, um, visually, we get to see his mind work when certain letters and numbers illuminate because his mind is able to detect the patterns and how to be able to create the formulas and everything. And I like that a lot. Yes. But yeah, to be able to convey the uh, the effect that it can have on a person when they have visual hallucinations is just absolutely incredible. And Crow does it so well, just making you believe it because it's like when the camera just focuses on him, from the various shots and everything, it just feels raw and intense. I'm just thinking like, holy smokes, just like dang. Probably some of the really when my personal favorite scenes are like when he has like an episode over at the school and he's saying like later in the movie is just like you just get to see all the people looking at him and just feeling like what the heck is going on. You know, we eventually like on the property he sees Ed Harris's character and saying, "Yeah, it took me a while to convince everyone to have them like bring you back in." It's like, okay, come on over here, we're gonna break this code. Wife goes in, follows the shed or whatever. Lo and behold, inside the shed is just lots and lots of formulas and arrows and stuff, which just leads like, holy smokes. Yeah, obviously the baby scene in the bathtub, absolutely what I mentioned. So it's just like, man, obviously when he's in the hospital trying to get everything worked out, yeah, it's just, man, you just feel for him. Jennifer Connelly does a great job, and I'm just thinking, oh yeah, they did that well. Suppose like what I read that maybe there was some whitewashing going on with I think like his wife had an accent and was born I forgot where, Cuba or Honduras or something like that. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Puerto Rico, something like that. So I'm just like I don't know. I just look past that. Yeah, it sucks, but I look past it. So yeah, ultimately I just think it's Ron Howard, how he creates all these epics, it's like when I did Apollo 13, that was freaking phenomenal. This one is great. This one's more grounded because with the how it's more grounded and more personal, it feels even more engrossing. That's the word I'm looking for. So yeah, obviously, schizophrenia part of his hand is displayed on screen extremely well, and it's like maybe the only criticism I have is how it can be fixed, with like what was that? I think they did like a little bit of shock therapy or some type of therapy, and also medicine that he did not take, which is just like Oh boy, yeah. So it adds a lot there. Music is great. The scenery is freaking great. I really can't find anything because it won so many awards and really put Russell Crowe on the map after L.A. Confidential. Here's something kind of funny. This wasn't, even though this was mentioned like being Harvard. Harvard has barely allowed any movies to be filmed on at their campus because of some damage that happened during a 1970s movie. So they filmed it at some other university. So I found that to be kind of funny. So, and of course the makeup that Russell Crowe wears, is like to be able to show like the aging over time. That was done really well. It looked very believable. Although the hair kind of in the beginning looked kind of like you were being a French New Wave person. I don't know. That just looked interesting. So yeah, obviously this is a freaking phenomenal film. Go and watch Beautiful Mind.